of Kuf Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. We'll begin at Kuf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph, the Mishnah, 3 lines from the bottom. Zok the Mishnah, Oisim Kol Sorachei Milah. We can do all what's necessary to be Mekayim the mitzvah Milah. You're allowed to do it on Shabbos. So as Taisus points out, that this is a continuation of the Mishnah that we learned previously. The Mishnah said, Kol Tzarchei Milah, Oisim Shabbos. Now the Mishnah over here goes into detail and explains what are the Tzarchei Milah that we're allowed to do. So we're allowed to do all the Tzarchei Milah. What is that? The Hainu, Moalim, Uparim, and Moitzim. You can do the Milah. The Milah is cutting off the foreskin, the outer thicker layer. Then Parim is pulling back the inner membrane, the thin inner membrane, to reveal the aver, and draw out the blood. Without drawing the blood, it's considered to be a sakana. So one is allowed to do all of these things: the cutting, and the pulling back, and the maitzim, and the drawing out the blood. The common, and you could put a bandage on it, and put the common kumin. This was needed for refuah. And it was needed for refuah, and therefore one would be allowed to be mechal Shabbos for that. Therefore, im lo shach me'erev Shabbos, if he did not grind it up erev Shabbos, and he should have grinded it up erev Shabbos. Grinding is a malacha on Shabbos. If he didn't do it me'erev Shabbos, im lo shach me'erev Shabbos, then lo yisbeshin of a noisim. He can do it on Shabbos as well. However, as Taisus points out, loyas b'shina v'noisen. He should chew it with his teeth and then put it on, because if we can make a shinoi, if there's no detriment and harm to the tinnik, if we can make a shinoi, you make a shinoi. So we can grind it up in the unusual manner. If it wasn't ground up from before Shabbos, then on Shabbos he chews it with his teeth and grinds it up in that manner. So if you can make a shinoi in the malacha, without any detriment to the vlad, we do so. Im lo tarav yain v'shemen me'erev Shabbos, and if you didn't mix the oil and the wine on erev Shabbos, they used to put that also as a refuah for the tinuk. If you didn't mix it and beat it from erev Shabbos, then he should pour it into the kli, each one, first one ingredient and then the other. Now mixing and beating the ingredients together, the oil and the wine, is not a malach deraisa, but it's a derabanan. It looks like he's preparing for cooking. It looks like it's an uvda dechol. So over here, this is a derabanan. Nevertheless, if he didn't mix it together, beat it together, me'erev Shabbos, there's no detriment, and there's nothing nothing will be lacking by just pouring one ingredient and then the other ingredient into a container. And and put it into the bowl, and it gets mixed on its own. You don't make a bandage for it to begin with. Now, l'chayra over here, this choluk that we're talking about is not needed for a refuah. It's not what we're talking about for a refuah over here. Because previously we said v'noisula isplan is v'komat. You put a bandage. Now over here, this choluk is not a refuah inyan, because if it was a refuah inyan, if it would be needed to be, it would be mechal Shabbos, so there's no choice. The purpose of this choluk was they put something around the aver, and it covered it, and was put around tightly so that the skin would not grow back. So this was the purpose, is to maintain it, that the priya and the skin that doesn't grow back, so it therefore is megala the aver. So over here is ve'in oisam l'cholak l'katchila. You don't make this cholak on Shabbos. Aval korach halas martut. But if he doesn't have this pre-made bandage, then he's korach halas martut. He wraps around it a cloth around it. He wraps around it to hold it, the membrane in its place. If he didn't prepare Erev Shabbos, maybe he wraps it around his finger and he brings it, even if it's from a different chalzer, and there's no Erev and he can't carry from one to the other. It's also midrabanan. Nevertheless, they allowed it in this manner to do it to do it with a shinoi. And the Meforshim Medayik and the we see from here that it's davka chalzer acheres. But if it would be a Rishus HaRabim, l'chayra would be also. So it's only where the Isser carrying is a D'Rabbanan, we allow him to do it through this Shinu over here. But if it would be an Isser D'Oraisa, a Rishus HaRabim, we would not permit it, even with this Shinu. So therefore, we see clearly that this is not a Refuah Dikanian, and therefore we only matter it from a Chatzar Acheres. And this dik is under much discussion with the Meforshim, Kiveger and the Paiskim, but l'chira, this is medui from the Mishnah in that manner, in this way. It says all of the things that you have to do for the milah that the Mishnah says explicitly. So kol tzarchei milah la'asuyamai. And what does it come to include when it says kol tzarchei milah? You can do all what's needed for the milah. What else is there that's involved that would be needed over here? The Gemara answers to include the following. Hamal, if a person does the milah, calls manshu oisik b'milah, while he's still engaged in the milah, he's still performing it, then chayzer bein al tzitzin makmin es milah, bein al tzitzin shein makmin es milah. If there's some of the skin that hasn't been removed, whether it covers roiv of the atara, roiv of the ridge of the member, or not, where there it would be ma'akev the meal. If it's not removed, it's ma'akev and he's not mekayim the mitzvah, or even if it's a miyad, a minority of the circumference, where it's not ma'akev the milah, but in both cases, in either event, then he's chayzer and he can remove it. Now, even if it's the sitzin she'ein ma'akev es a milah, and the mitzvah technically is done, but he can still, as long as he's engaged in the mitzvah, he can still continue to remove that skin. But Pirish, if he now removed his hand, he stopped being oisik in the mitzvah, then al tzitzin ma'akim es milah chayzer, he can only go back and cut the tzitzin ma'akim the milah. Al tzitzin she'ein ma'akim es milah ein chayzer, but he can't go back to cut the tzitzin she'ein ma'akim es milah. So kol tzarchei milah is coming to include that he's, as long as he's being oisik in the milah, he can even cut off even the tzitzin she'ein ma'akim. Kol tzarchei milah, that he nasim b'Shabbos. So Gemara asks, Man Tana Peresh Ein Chayzer, who's the Tana who said that once he stopped being oisik in the milah, when he's no longer engaged in it, he cannot go back. Ein Chayzer, he cannot go back to cut off the tzitzin ein ma'akim es milah. Amar Rav Rachan, Amar Rav Yechanan, Rabbi Shmuel ben Aishel Rabbi Yechon ben Broki. It's the following Tana, the Tanya Arba'as Shechal Yos b'Shabbos. If the Yud Daled Nisan fell out on Shabbos, now he has to bring the Korban Pesach, and you have to shech the Korban Pesach. Now the way when they shechted the animal, they shechted the Korban, they had to remove the Evorim that they're makrav on the Mizbeach. What they did first, however, it was they ramashit the or in order so that when they removed the Emurim, the hair did not get stuck to the Emurim, which would be a bezoyan for the Emurim that they're makrav on the Mizbeach. So they did a hafshata, they skinned the animal. Now normally what they did is they skinned the animal up until the chest, and then they would be free, the area where they remove the Emurim would be free from any kind of skin and hair. They remove the Emurim. If it would not be Shabbos, then they would continue and skin the rest of the animal. But what about if your dalet falls out on Shabbos? Now skinning, to be mashit, that's a malacha. So we learned in the Bryce, you skin the animal, you remove the ora until the chest. That's what he says, and then you do not continue and remove the rest of it after you remove the ora. The Chum say that no, even after the removal of the emurim, then you continue and you're mashed the rest of them. So it's the same as what we have by Mila. That Rishmon ben Oishel Rechem Bebruka says, once you've removed the Imurim, so there it's considered similar to our case is that when you stopped being Isaac in the Hafshata, so then it's Pirish, then you cannot continue to remove the skin. Similar to the case of the Mila, once it's Pirish, you cannot cut the Tzitzim Shen Maknas Mila. How do you know that that's the case? You want to say that it's Rabbi Shmuel ben Oishel Riachim Baroka. When the Chum say that after you remove the Imurim, you could go back and remove the skin. It's not like the sheet of the Chachamim. Maybe I'll tell you, Adkan Loikam Rabbi Shmuel ben Oishel Riachim Baroka Hasam Mishum Dleibinam Zakil Van Veil. Maybe it's only over there because once you remove the Imurim, there's no hidur, there's no keza, keli, vanveo. They're not beautifying the mitzvah. The mitzvah having the emurim right now, and what is now you're being doicha Shabbos for with is the removal of emurim. Well, once you've skinned it to the chest, you remove the emurim, skinning the rest of the animal. There's no benefit for the emurim, so there's no zekeli vanveo. You're not beautifying the mitzvah in any way. Later on, when you want to have the basar and you're roasting the basar, then you'll remove the rest of the skin later on. But for this mitzvah right now, that's needed now on Shabbos, there's no zekeli vanveo. Aval hacha the bin zekeli vanveo hachanami. But over here, where the chefs of the milah of the mitzvah is the aver, removing the tzitzin afilu shein maknas milah, even though it's not mark of the milah, but it's unveiled, it's beautifying the mitzvah. Maybe he would agree over here that for that purpose you could go back and remove them. The Sanya, where do we see this concept of Zekili Van Veyu? The Sanya Zekili Van Veyu, it's not the fun of the mitzvahs. Beautify yourself before Hashem when you're makam the mitzvahs. Also, the fun of sukkah no, make a beautiful sukkah. Velulav na mishayfer no, v'tzitzis no, sefer Torah no. Make all of these things beautiful. Because of boy lishma b'yoyno, and write it l'shem shemaim, write it and with the proper machshava and with proper ink and with the beautiful ink. B'kulmus no, and with the no pen that's no. B'lavlar uman, and a cipher who's an expert will write the oisias in a beautiful way. V'karacha b'shiroi no, and wrap it around in beautiful silk. He says a different shot, Van Veyu. He says, Van Veyu have a doimelay. He says, Van Veyu means be doima, make yourself, try to emulate Rebbeinu Shalom. Try to be like him. Like Rashi says, Anivu. Anvehu is Anivahu. That try to emulate the Rebbeinu Shalom, be like him. Mahu Chanu v'rachum, just like he is Chanu v'rachum, he's compassionate, he's gracious and compassionate. Afnata have Chanu v'rachum. Like upon him, you don't see conclusively that the same machlekes by Pesach is the machlekes that we have over here, as the halacha that we have over here by Mila. Elo Maravashi Hamani, who's the Tana? Our Tana by Tzitzin, that you're once it's pirish, you're not chayzer v'tzit'shein makmas amila. Hamani Rav Yaisi, it's Rav Yaisi's son. Bein shenir ba'alil, or bein shenir ba'alil, when they saw the new moon. So it's a mitzvah to come to Bezdin, to be made to testify that they saw the new moon, and Bezdin could be mekadosh the chayrish. Bezdin has mekadosh the chayrish, so they establish the Yom Tovim, etc. Rosh Chayrish and the Yom Tovim. So whether it's near Baalil where it's clear to everyone or not clear, Mechalin is a Shabbos. Even Mechalin Shabbos, now even if it involves coming chutz l'tchum, and even if it's near Baalil, so it's clear. So one could assume that Bezdin has people close by that were already made that testified that they saw the new moon, and therefore there'll be no practical benefit for coming. Nevertheless, it's a mitzvah to come, to be made, and you're allowed to come and to be mechal the Shabbos in that way. But Rav Yasi Omer near Baalil, if it's near, so you see it clearly, ain't mechal the Shabbos. You can't be mechal the Shabbos. So the is the same. He's the Tana by Mila, meaning if you're not going to accomplish something you're not going to be able to already. Bezdin will know that there's a new moon. then Rav Yossi says, even though you're being Isaac in a mitzvah, you can't come. Now here also, is once you perish, then there's the mitzvah, you're already Mekayim the mitzvah of Milah, then you don't go back to cut the tzitzin she'ein ma'akmenes Milah. What's your ayah? Maybe only said over there the Shabbos litchit, because there's no, you don't have no heter to be mechal Shabbos to begin with. Because once you can assume that Besdin saw the new moon or has Adam nearby that will be made from the new moon, then there's no heter for you who live far away, who live outside the home, to be made. So it's only nitna litchis. Aval hacha, the nitna Shabbos litchis hakanami. But over here, where the milah, the one who's mal, is nitna Shabbos litchis. Here it's mutter for him. He's mechoyvim to do the milah and to be mechal Shabbos. So once already the Shabbos is futra for him, maybe he can continue and cut even the tzitzin shein ma'akmenes milah. Allah Amen Hado, who is the Tana of the Milah, of the Brisa that we learn by Milah, is Rabbanan the Pliel and the Rav Yossi. It's Rabbanan who argue on Rav Yossi in the following case. Desnan Arba Kohanim Nechnosim, when on Shabbos, when they have to remove the last week's Lechem Aponim, and they replaced it with the new Lechem Aponim, with this week's Lechem Aponim. So four Kohanim come in to the Eichal Shnayim B'Yadam, Shnei Sedorim, Shnayim B'Yadam, Shnei Bezich. So four of them enter. Two of them are carrying, each one is carrying a stack of 6 chalas, lechem aponim. So one has with 6, and the other one has 6, so 2 of 12 lechem aponim. Two other kohanim, each one has a container with the keteris. And with each one has keteris, and one of them, and the other one also has keteris. Ushnayim b'yadam shnei bazichim, 2 spoons of keteris. V'arba makdimim lifneihem. Now before they go in, there's a set of 4 kohanim that precede them. They go in. Shnayim litol shnei sadar, shnayim litol shnei bazichim. To remove last week's sets of the lechem aponim. So one takes 1 stack of 6, the other takes another stack of 6, and the other one takes a container of the keteris, and the other takes a container of keteris from last week. Now the ones that come in, they're machnisim b'tzar, and they stand on the north side, and they're facing the south. So the shulchan is set from east to west. Its direction is east to west. The ones that are come in are standing to the north. They're standing to the north. They're facing south. And the ones that moitzim oimdim bedorim, and the ones that remove the old ones, they stand bedorim, and they're facing sofan. They're facing the north. Opnei sofan. So as Rashi explains, he says the ones that are bringing in the new lechem upon him, that's an avodah that's bringing in the new ones that has more kedusha. They stand on the north. With north has more kedusha. That's where yishach the kachei kadoshim. So the ones that are bringing in, they are standing on the north facing south. The ones who are removing it, they're on the south and facing north. So now they're facing each other. So these ones, they remove the old ones, and as they're removing the old ones, the ones who are bringing the new ones, they bring in the new ones. So it's a continuous chain. There's no hefsek. They're removing, they're bringing it in. As they're removing it, as they're drawing it out, they're bringing it in, and it's a continuous train. So the hands of one are on the side of the hands of the other one. So it has to be tomit. The shulchan has to have the lechem upon him tomit. So there can't be a break. There can't be an interval. So therefore, it has to be continuous. It has to be one on next to the other one as they bring it out. So this Tana holds that it has to be Tomid means without any hefsek whatsoever. But Rabbi Yossi argues, he says it doesn't have to be continuous. It doesn't have to be mamish one hand next to the other hand without any break whatsoever. As long as it's within the same day, that's also considered Tomid. So what do we see over here? That Rav Yossi says that even if there is a pause, even if there's an interval, that is not considered like you've stopped and it's considered a new Maisa. It's also considered Tomid. So similarly, by the Mila, he would say that even if he was Pirish, it's not considered that there is a Hefsek and it's a new Maisa. It's still considered a continuation of what he's done previously. Just like he says by the Lechem Aponim, as long as it's Tomid, as long as it's on the same day. So, but the Tana, who is the Tana, therefore, who says by Mila that by Pirish, it must be the Rabbanan. That Rabbanan say that Tomid means that it has to be without any hefsek whatsoever. Here also they would say if there was Pirish, then it's considered like he stopped. And if he goes back, it's considered to be a new action, a new Maisa, and therefore you're not chayzer for tzitz and she'ein makfinis and milah. Ton rabbanan mahalktinis and milah, you have to trim the skin from the aver. You have to trim it. V'im lo hilkid onish karas, and if not, you were not mekayim the milah, you were not yetz the mitzvah, and he's onish karas. Money, who's onish karas? Who's the one that's punished with karas? Amar v'kana uman. It's the moil. Masiv l'rapapa leimelahu. It's a masiv l'rapapa uman. The uman leimelahu and the palga the mitzvah atun avi the palga the mitzvah. Why should we say that the uman is onish karas, that he's chayiv karas? Why can't he say I did half, I did part? Now you finish it up. Why is he onish karas? It's not his chiyuv. He's not obligated to complete the mitzvah of milah. It's not his obligation to complete the mitzvah. He did half. Okay, somebody else does the other half. Why does he get chorus? Elam or a papa godel. It's a godel. If there is a godel who did not complete the mitzvah, he is on his chorus. A godel, somebody who, if he doesn't perform the milah by the end of his life, he gets chorus. Malskif Ravashi, godel behedjiksi. What do you mean? Why would the Tana tell that? It's enough in a pasuk. It says, V'arel zachar shelo yino. It says in Orav he doesn't have milah and he gets chorus. So why would the Tana tell us that? Taisus points out, even though we do see that there are times when the Tana tells us a halacha that's often a pasuk, it's clearly in the pasuk, but he shouldn't have said it in this way. He should have said it in a cleaner way. If that's the case, he should have said Gadol Shleimal on his chorus. Why doesn't we say it in this way that he says Mahalknis Amilav and Loyhilkat? It's a roundabout way. Elamar Ravashi la'olam uma. Really, I'll tell you, it's the uman, it's the moil. Okay, going. Also, been a shmashas the Shabbos. We're talking about. It's almost the end of Shabbos. It's almost before the end of the day. V'amrle loy maspatis. And people are telling him, you will not be able to finish the meal. There's not enough time to finish the meal before the end of the day. And he argues, he says, no, I will have enough time. I'll be able to finish it. And he did it, and he was not able to finish it. So it comes out that what happened over here, what did he do over here? He was Mechal Shabbos. He didn't finish the Milah. He didn't finish all that was necessary for the Milah. So what did he do on Shabbos? He wasn't Mekayim the Mitzvah. He made a Chabura. So that's why he's on his Kores. He's on his Kores, not for the Milah, he's on his Kores for being Mechal Shabbos. You're allowed to suck out the blood because otherwise it's sakana. Omara papa hai umloy maya sakana vavring alei moil who doesn't do the mitzitza, who doesn't draw out the blood, it's a sakana. He endangers the tinuk, and we remove him. Pshita, well, of course, if we allow you to do this, Mechal Shabbos for this, it must be that it's a sakana. So what's the chiddush over here? The Gemara says, no, the same you might think, you might think that the dam is mifka pocket. There's no chil Shabbos involved. We allow you to do it because it's not really chil Shabbos, because you might think that this dam that's over here, in this malkim, in the aver, is dam that's like in a pocket. It's not absorbed into the flesh. It's only on the surface. And therefore, you might think that drawing out that blood does not involve a chil Shabbos, and therefore there's no raya, there's no proof that it's a sakana. Kamashalan chabur michbar, and kamashalan no, it's chabur michbar. It's like making any other wound. The blood is absorbed into the flesh, so it's like making any other wound. And by the fact that we allow you to do it on Shabbos, we allow you to be machal Shabbos. That shows that it's a sakana, and therefore, if the moil doesn't do it, we fire him. The dunya this plan of a common, and it's similar to the case of Isplatus of common, the bandage and the kumen, which is done for reasons of sakana. Ma Isplatus of common kilayav sakana apacha nami kilayav sakana. So you see that this not doing the mitzitza is a sakana. He said that his mother told him, the one who raised him, and she was an expert in all kinds of refuahs. He said, Isplanas the kula kive, the isplanas that you use for all types of pain, what are the ingredients? Is shev mina etarba v'charakir, 7 parts fat and 1 of wax. Rav Amar Kirva Kalba Rishina. He says that the best way to make it is with wax and the resin from plants and trees. Drosha Rabbi Mechuzai, he darshan this publicly, so he made it known publicly how to make this refuah, how to make this ointment. So Karina B'nei Menyume Asya Lamanayu, the family of Menyume, the doctor, they tore the rice kriya, because this was their parnasa. Now he's making it public. This is where they were able to make their ingredients and their ointment and charge for it. And now he made it public. He revealed their secrets. He consoled them. He said that there's one special thing that I didn't make public, and you still are going to be able to make parnasa because you have this secret. A person who washes his face and doesn't dry it properly, he'll have boils that break out on his face. What's the refuah? What should he do? He washes it well with a water that beets have been cooked in it, and that's a refuah for it.